Boy with girl at midnight. The clock struck midnight. Beneath the vast ink-black sky, the moon hung low, casting a soft silver glow over the sleepy town. The air was cool, a light breeze tugging at the edges of the trees that stood silently as sentinels in the night. The streetlights flickered, their yellow beams barely breaking through the darkness. On this particular night, only two figures moved through the quiet streets. A boy and a girl, their footsteps the only sound as they walked side by side. Ethan, his dark hair tousled by the wind, looked over at the girl beside him. Her name was Lily, and despite the chill of the night, she wore a light jacket that fluttered with each step. She had always been a little different from everyone else, quiet, thoughtful, and often lost in her own world. But with Ethan, she was never alone. "Are you sure this is a good idea?" Ethan asked, glancing at her. The moonlight caught the edges of her features, giving her an almost ethereal glow. Her eyes sparkled with an excitement he couldn't quite place, but there was something about her presence that made him feel as though everything would be okay, no matter what. "I'm sure," Lily replied, her voice soft yet steady. "It's midnight. It's the perfect time for something magical." Ethan chuckled. "Magical? You're not going to tell me we're going to see a fairy or something, are you?" Lily smiled, a quiet, secretive smile that made Ethan's heart beat a little faster. "Not a fairy, something much more real." The pair continued walking, the sound of their footsteps against the pavement muffled by the damp air. They had been friends for years, ever since they were little kids running around their small neighborhood. But it had been in the past few months that Ethan had started noticing something different about her. There was a way she looked at the world, a depth to her gaze that suggested she saw more than anyone else could. As they passed an old, abandoned house, Lily's pace slowed, and she looked up at it. The house had always been a point of fascination for the two of them. It was decrepit, falling apart at the seams, with ivy creeping up the sides and windows that had been shattered long ago. But there was something alluring about it, something that always seemed to pull Lily's attention. "You know," Lily said, her voice a whisper now, "this house has a story no one knows." Ethan glanced at the house, shivers running down his spine. "What story?" Lily paused, her hand brushing against the cracked brick as she spoke. "It's said that years ago, a couple lived here. They were in love, but their love was forbidden. The town didn't approve of them being together, so one night they ran away, trying to escape. But something happened. The night swallowed them whole. No one ever saw them again." Ethan felt a chill run through him. "That's just a ghost story, Lily." She shook her head, her eyes meeting his with an intensity that made his stomach flutter. "It's not just a story. The couple, they're still here. They say if you come to the house at midnight, you can feel their presence. The love they shared, it's still trapped in the walls." For a moment, neither of them spoke. The only sound was the soft rustling of leaves in the wind and the occasional far-off howl of a dog. Ethan couldn't help but feel drawn to the house. It was as if the idea of the lost couple, their love lingering through time, had taken root in his mind. "Do you believe it?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Lily looked up at him, her eyes reflecting the silver of the moon. "I don't know," she said slowly, "but sometimes I think love is stronger than anything else. Maybe even stronger than death." Ethan's heart skipped a beat. He had always felt a certain pull toward Lily, something deeper than friendship. But hearing her speak like this, with such certainty, made him wonder if she felt it too. Without another word, Lily stepped toward the house. Ethan followed her, a mix of curiosity and apprehension bubbling inside him. The closer they got, the more the air seemed to thicken, as if something ancient was awakening from its slumber. They reached the front door, which hung ajar, creaking as if beckoning them inside. For a long moment, neither of them moved. Then Lily took a deep breath, her hand resting on the doorknob. "Are you ready?" she asked, her voice steady despite the tension in the air. Ethan hesitated, his mind racing with doubts. But then he looked at Lily, her unwavering gaze, the quiet strength she exuded, and he knew that there was no turning back. He nodded. Lily pushed the door open, and they stepped inside. The house was dark and musty, but there was something beautiful about it. The walls were covered in peeling wallpaper, and dust danced in the air like forgotten memories. But despite the decay, the air hummed with a strange energy, as if something was waiting for them. They moved through